Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to another episode of BiblioTech on Air. I'm Rosanna.
I'm Ruby.
And today we're going to be going over Book Talk for Such a Fun Age by Kiley Reid, the most recent read for our Libros and Libations book program. It is available on both Hoopla and cloudLibrary. Be sure to check those out. There is a specific shelf catered to Libros and Libations if you want to check out any of our other previous reads.
Yeah, so getting into a summary of Such a Fun Age, it goes over Alix Chamberlain is a woman who gets what she wants and has made a living with her confidence-driven brand, showing other women how to do the same. So she is shocked when her babysitter, Amira Tucker, is confronted while watching the Chamberlain's toddler one night, walking the aisles of their local high-end supermarket. The store security guard, seeing a young black woman out late with a white child, accuses Amira of kidnapping 2-year-old Briar. A small crowd gathers, a bystander films everything, and Amira is furious and humiliated. Alix resolves to make things right, but Amira herself is aimless, broke, and wary of Alix's desire to help. At 25, she is about to lose her health insurance and has no idea what to do with her life. When the video of Amira unearths someone from Alix's past, both women find themselves on a crash course that will upend everything they think they know about themselves and each other.
So yeah, there's that.
Yeah, there's that. And then a quick little discussion that we had was just talking about the book's title, how given that it talks about right from the beginning that very crazy incident, Such a Fun Age, where does that land in? But we mentioned that Amira is 25, and so a lot of the decisions that she makes and that we'll get into in the questions that we'll talk about, that's where it shows such a fun age. She's 25, doesn't know what to do with her life, not very confident as well, so that plays a major role into why the book plays out the way it does.
Yeah, for 25, she seems to kind of just really like go with the flow in a way. But like Ruby said, we'll touch on that. So let's get into the first question. The opening scene at the supermarket was a smart way for the author to illustrate everyday racism without any preamble. Did it succeed in setting the tone for the socio-political themes the plot would eventually tackle?
I think everyone was on the same page and thinking that the book had such a strong beginning talking about that incident, and then it just kind of womp towards the end. Because what I expected when it started out with that such a strong beginning, I thought it was going to discuss more into what's going to happen after this incident. What are they going to do? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like it really was, I guess like the peak of the book was just right there, that part, because it really did make you think like, what's going to happen? Is there going to be like a whole movement? Is it going to be, like all over the news?
Yes.
Like it just really made you think, where's it going to go from here? And then for it just to kind of quietly taper down into just, it affecting people around her until the very end where it gets leaked.
And I liked how it was brought up at Libros, the fact that this book was written released in 2016, which was obviously before George Floyd and before the Black Lives Matter movement and things like that. So that's probably why we were expecting more to come out of this situation than what really did. Because in the end, Amira didn't want to talk about it. Yeah. Amira didn't want the film to be released. Every white person around her was like, no, like, that's not right. You should be upset. You should get that security guard fired, or you should like open up a complaint on the supermarket. But she didn't want any of that to happen. Right. And that's what the audience was kind of thinking as well. At least all of us at Libros, we wanted something to happen because I think just of everything that's been going on recently. So I think that I'm like just very curious if she wrote this book now after these movements have been playing out. Would she have had a different end and a different outcome? Because now we know that's not okay. Yeah. Like for a situation like you have to speak up about situations like that. Everyone has to be aware, because if not, they're just going to keep happening.
And that in itself also kind of touches on race, because, someone who's probably from a more privileged, race or, a lighter skin tone, they can speak up about it without any kind of negative consequence falling on them. But someone who's, probably a bit, more darker skinned or, Latino or black or, they have to be careful, because sure, they can speak up, but they have to be careful about what they say, because no matter what, it seems like you could possibly be antagonized just for, speaking up about it. So
Amira does acknowledge that as well. She says that even though she kind of composed herself pretty well, she did say some things in front of the toddler who she was babysitting and she wasn't proud of. That's what she was more worried about. Was how she was going to look instead of what everyone else was doing around her. You know what I mean? I don't know, which is crazy. She also didn't want her her future employers to see it. And so it touches on that pretty well.
Which is fair. Which is fair. Again, at the end of the day, when you're, I guess, the victim of something like that, you would hopefully want to have control of that narrative. So, all right, with that, continuing on with the supermarket scene, the security guard's suspicions are quenched when Amira calls the toddler's white father. What does that say about the unfairness of people of color still needing to legitimize their existence through their associations with white people in social situations, which we did kind of talk about a little bit right now. But
yeah, I like how Amira says, it's okay, I'm calling the daughter's dad, so an old white man's gonna come and everyone's gonna feel better about the situation. And which in fact did happen. You know, when he showed up, everyone was like, okay, like especially that lady, because
the instigator.
It wasn't the security guard initially starting the problem. It was another white lady who was in the store who brought the situation to the security guard's attention, and she was like the one antagonizing it as well. And then once the father came, she was like, okay, bye. And then y'all she was like, y'all can handle this situation now. Like, I saw what I needed to see and that was it, and left.
Yeah. Because it was like she was just walking down the aisle, right?
Yeah.
And didn't she even kind of like laugh at them dancing or something? I might be remembering that wrong. And then just a few minutes later, like security guard, and she's like, they're over there, officer.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, it is kind of sad that, Amira had to be like, okay, look, the dad's on the way. She had to explain to him over the phone, like, they think I'm kidnapping your daughter. So it's very unfair, definitely, that you can't just, her word for it. Like, obviously the child was not crying.
Yeah,
she was having a good time. She's calling her Mira, like, we're doing this. They were to the point where they were like asking the child, like,
like not even asking Amira questions. They were just straight up asking what a 2-year-old who is just like likes nuts.
Yeah. And even that still wasn't enough for them.
Yeah.
Like Amira was like, hey, I'm right here.
She's saying my name. She's obviously has a connection to me.
Yeah.
That's not enough.
What does that say?
So we're going to discuss the ways in which the story incorporated instances of systemic prejudice based on privilege, class, and race. And the way that I was thinking about this question was Tamra, Alix's friend, who was she was higher class, but she was also a black woman. She was kind of telling Alix that she was in the right of doing everything that she was for Amira, which I thought was odd, because I was like, why would she think that Alix... I felt like Alix was the true villain in this book, and she was like reassuring her that everything that she was doing was right. So I was like, why is this happening? But it was brought up that it's probably because of her class, money changes you. So she is surrounding herself with all these other people with money who were brought up with the money as well. They have just a different way of thinking to where they want to be saviors to people, especially for a person like Amira who doesn't have her life figured out.
Right.
Obviously doesn't have a lot of money. They're like, no, you're doing everything right because you're her savior, because you know better than her. You know what I mean? Like,
again, not speaking for the characters, but that maybe Tamara sees it as like coming from a place like, oh, I've been there, or I've gone through that situation, so I know how to handle this. I don't know, but also it's kind of interesting to see the dynamics between Amira's friend group and then Alix's friend group, because it seemed like Alix kind of, I don't want to say handpicked, but like
Alix like purposefully I feel like she went out of her way
to
find some kind of like, to find some kind of, what is the word I'm looking for, variety in her friends. Like she had one Hispanic, one black, one white, and because of we didn't get into the high school incident yet, but a big part of what makes Alix who she is because of what happened to her in high school, when she wrote a letter to Kelly, her boyfriend at the time, about her address because she wanted him to come over, but then it ended up getting in the wrong hands. Some black classmates of hers. And so when they ended up showing up at her house uninvited, she was scared and called the cops. And those guys had substances on them, right? So that's what like changed the rest of their future, because then they were suspended, I believe, and then lost scholarships that they already had in plan. So it just like abrupted her one night, and she was so self-involved in that, and that these other individuals, their whole future was compromised, and she was just still hung up on that. That was a crucial part in her life that she kept with her. Well, at 15 years later, she still has it in her mind. And so she is trying so hard to change the image about her as well.
Which she did. She moved to a completely different city, rebranded herself, and came out on top as like this big old social media mogul. And like I think she really used her privilege there also to victimize herself, to absolutely victimize herself. Because again, like you said, the classmates that ended up losing everything, they were, of African-American descent. So she doesn't see it like that, though. She was just like, my life got ruined. Yeah. I got embarrassed. Everyone hates me. Girl, you did that to yourself in a way.
Literally, like she was just shunned a bit from her classmates, and then that was it. She got to still be rich, still live the life she wanted to live. Meanwhile, these other kids, their whole future was completely just turned upside down, and you don't even acknowledge that. It's crazy.
Yeah, like granted, don't go over to anyone's house unexpected and expecting them to let you in. That's definitely not okay. But with that said, like there was definitely some responsibility for her to be like, okay, look, Kelly, you need to get out of here. Take your friends with you.
Like it could have been kind of that simple.
Yeah, but like she could have stepped it up more instead of just, because they weren't causing trouble. They were just on her property, which I don't know. It could go a bunch of different ways with that.
So Alixa's brand is all about the strong, confident woman who goes after what she wants. Yet she is particularly concerned with appearances, going so far as to hide the move to New Jersey on her social media channels. How confident is she really? Not so confident at all. Like the fact that she moved to Pennsylvania and still kept her pictures so that way she can show, like, pretend that she's still living in New York. It's just wild to think about.
Yeah, like she had it all planned out. She was very it just goes to show the entire book she was just trying to control that narrative. And I mean, I guess as a social media influencer, that's what your life's built on. But yeah, going back to the confidence thing, she does not love herself. That's very evident. But it goes beyond that. It goes so far as to trying to also live through, I guess, kind of a mirror in a way, because it gets to a point where she's like borderline stalker-ish, or no, like straight up stalker. Yeah. And she's like, trying to get to know Amira, trying to insert herself a little bit. Like
Amira leaves her phone out charging, and she doesn't keep her phone on her when she's working. And this lady feels like she has the right to go through her phone just because it's there. And she's like seeing what she has planned for that night. And then when she starts dating Kelly, she's like, oh, I know she's dating another guy. And I want to know more about that. So now I know the right questions to ask.
Exactly.
And when she first hired Amira, she never even asked her any kind of questions to get to know her at all until now.
Yeah. And then another thing that we brought up was also that she hired Amira based off of Amira not knowing anything about Alix. Because usually the other babysitters would always ask her, oh, what's your next book going to be about? Or how was it working with so-and-so? And Amira was just like, how much do I get paid? What are the hours?
I'm just here just to collect the check.
Thank you.
And she's like, no, I want you to love me in a way.
Again, controlling that narrative. And I guess it just irks her, but also fascinates her that someone in the world doesn't know about her. So yeah.
It's like if you just put all that energy into your own daughter.
Or into building authentic relationships. Because if she really wanted to build like a sincere relationship with Amira, which Amira is not required to, want to reciprocate that. But if she wanted to, she could, just be genuine. Just be like, hey, so like, what are you up to? No, I'm not looking at your phone.
Yeah.
But it's not sincere. And Amira maybe subconsciously realizes like, this lady's fake as heck.
Yeah.
And we will be back after these messages.
Have you heard of San Antonio Soundstage? Don't forget to check out this amazing resource that BiblioTech Public Library patrons can access a wide variety of local music that represents the historic 210. All local musicians can submit their original songs, band photos, album art, song lyrics, music videos, video interviews, and more that can be featured on our Biblio board. This allows our community to become more familiar with the local music scene in a fun, creative way. Check it out today with your library card.
And now we're back.
So Alix devotes herself to befriending Amira, but Amira only sees Alix as her employer. At the end of the day, did you find their relationship to be anything more than transactional? In what ways do each of the women try to either maintain or disrupt that boundary? And is Alix's desire to be friends linked to guilt from her past? So I guess now that I'm thinking about it, the Alix's desire to be friends, because she only started that desire to be friends after the incident. So I don't know if that has anything to do with her guilt from the past, but I think it has something to do with the guilt of her sending Amira there to the supermarket. Yeah. At night,
Yeah.
I mean, because that all happened because of Alix. Like, she called Amira while she was having a night out with her friends, asking her to come help her do her a favor, just take Briar out to the supermarket for a while so she didn't have to be home to witness whatever crazy stuff they had going on. And then that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then right after that, Alix is like, oh, what color do you like? Or, dumb, small, get to know you questions like that. Yeah. And Amira is just like, okay, like, she never cared to know this information before when she hired me.
Yeah. But if you think about it, it kind of stems further too. Like maybe she's kind of covering her tracks as well, because this whole thing starts when her husband, Peter, who is a newscaster, he accidentally makes a thoughtless racist remark. And because of that, their house gets egged, and then they call the police, and that's when she's like, Amira, can you take Briar for a bit? So I think the guilt kind of stems from that as well. Like, and again, controlling that narrative of her being like, oh no, we're going to be seen as terrible people, and I'm probably going to lose my street cred with all of my black friends, and Amira, what's she going to think of me? So I think it's just kind of like more of kind of trying to accumulate people on her side, so she can be like, see, I'm not the bad person. Like, look, she likes me.
Oh my God, I know. And then when she makes that comment at the Thanksgiving dinner table, and she was proud of how many
that was
black people were at her Thanksgiving dinner table.
Oh my goodness.
I'm like, if you have to think that, make that kind of comment, you are already so in the wrong.
That, oh my goodness, that was
And so like Amira the whole time is just, she is just thinking of their relationship as transactional, like,
which is fair. Like, I'm the babysitter, I'm doing my job to get money.
Exactly.
While Alix is more of
the person giving her the money.
And yeah, she's trying to make it, I guess, more emotionally transactional or something. I don't know if that's the right term for it, but
Alix is trying to insert herself a little too much into Amira's life.
Yeah.
Because she has nothing better going on.
Honestly, she really doesn't. And she kind of realizes that too. So she's kind of vicariously living through this younger girl, enjoying her, or supposed to be enjoying her 20s.
And then Amira starts putting, like, she accepts it at first. That first night they have wine together and talk. Yeah. But then when Alix tries doing it again, Amira sets her boundary. She's like, no, I'm good, thanks.
Yeah. Especially, I think what really like sells it for Amira is the whole incident with Briar's goldfish, when the goldfish dies and she's like, hey, look, we're not going to be doing the Halloween party anymore. Go get a new fish for, Briar so we can replace it. And Amira was like legit looking forward to, going to Briar's little Halloween party at the recital or whatever.
she's like, just tell her the fish died.
Yeah.
You know, because that's the thing that happens.
Mm-hmm.
And we can go enjoy this party that we really worked hard together on. Because they had like a whole costume planned and the whole little routine planned as well, right?
Yeah, and that's kind of like Alik's putting her own comfort again instead of, you know.
What's good for Briar.
Mm-hmm. Because she also could have been like, look, your fish died. We'll get you a new one. But it happens. Go have fun with Amira. But she just focused on her own comfort. Like, I don't think any time in this book, aside from maybe when she sent Amira and Briar off to the grocery store, I don't think she ever put like Briar first.
Oh, yeah, never.
Mm-mm.
And then so now let's talk about Kelly. So what did you think about him? Was he truly a good guy or not? It's funny that the consensus at Libros, being a majority of women, everyone was on the consensus that no, Kelly's not a good guy.
Mm-mm.
We were kind of it was a red flag, the fact that he surrounded himself with nothing but African-American friends, and all throughout high school and then all throughout his adult life, and the fact that he dated nothing but African-American women as well. That was what we kind of considered a red flag as well. Yeah,
because I mean, one thing we did bring up this as well. Like, one thing is growing up in a neighborhood, you know, where it's predominantly, you know, African American or predominantly Hispanic, and those are just the people who are in your life. Another thing is to actively, I think, seek out. And even in the book, they kind of mention like he could be fetishizing, you know. So that's definitely a red flag. And then also the fact that he just kind of casually dismisses Amira's concerns about being like, you know, don't bring me back to this bar. This is not like mine, you know, kind of just being like, oh, okay, you know, whatever. Like, he doesn't get it from her perspective. He doesn't try to understand her perspective. He forces a perspective on her. And
that, he was like, we didn't even mention the fact that he was the one that recorded that whole incident that happened at the grocery store. Yeah. And then he was like, hey, you want this footage? Like, you want me to release it? Or like, you have to do something with this footage. And Amira's just like, no. And then he was like, okay, I'm just going to email it to you so that way you have it. Because she wanted it deleted completely forever, which I think he should have. Like, that's what she was asking. He should have deleted it completely. But instead, he emailed it to her because he was like, no, I want you to have it just in case. Yeah. But that just ended up backfiring completely. Exactly. So that's why I'm like, you know, you were in the wrong. You should have deleted it if that's what she wanted, you know?
Which kind of goes back to the whole high school thing. Like, not that the high school thing event with Alik's affected him negatively in any way. He just kind of did not care. He was very indifferent about it. He didn't hold on to it like Alik's did. So I don't think, like, yes and no, he's
I mean, he's not perfect. He has some very bad traits. Yeah. Obviously.
It's hard with that guy. Like, there's red flags, but then at the same time, you kind of want to still give the benefit of the doubt a little bit. But I don't know. Like, do you think he's matured since high school, like since that event, or he's still kind of got that same mentality?
I think he has the same mentality in a way.
Kind of like Alik's. Like, they both kind of retain that mentality. They just affected them differently.
Yeah, because I mean, the fact that when he found out that that Amira was working for Alik's, given their history, he was like, you have to quit. You have to quit. Like, you can't be working for this person. She's like forcing you to wear this uniform. And Amira's like, no, she's not forcing me to wear it. Like, I chose to wear it, you know? But he was still just like, no, has he thinking that way? Like, he was very trying to control her life.
Same thing. They were both trying to control the narrative just from different perspectives. Oh my goodness. They're just terrible people. So I retract what I say. They're both
in the wrong.
I was trying to give them benefit of the doubt a little bit. You know what? No, Kelly sucks. But it also comes to a head when when Alik straight up goes and confronts Kelly at his job. Yeah. That's just so out of pocket. Girl, it is not that serious.
It was very out of pocket.
It is not that serious. But I mean, Alik's clearly held on to that for so long, and Kelly was just like, whatever, you were a blip.
Okay, see, but that doesn't make... Okay, well, we're going to get into it right now. So do you think what happened in high school affected Alik's and Kelly differently? And did it leave a lasting impression that carried over to the rest of their lives? Yes, because we found out in the end that Kelly didn't even
See the letter.
But the whole time Elise is like, no, you ruined my high school, you did this to me, this and that. And then in the end, she knew the whole time that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
And she was still like giving Kelly a hard time, like, no, you can't date my babysitter because you're a horrible person.
It absolved her of guilt in a way, pretending that, oh, well, I didn't put it in the wrong locker. He did see it. That's what I'm sticking with.
So she was just honestly just a very terrible person. Like,
yeah.
I don't know if that's what, obviously the author had to intend it that way, but she had like no likable qualities to her at all.
At first, it seemed like they were trying to give her, like, you know, like, oh, okay, maybe she's a bit more sympathetic than we
I
were
got
thinking.
a taste of that too, but then when you just keep finding out about everything,
it just gets worse and worse.
It really does. It's not looking good for her.
Which I'm just going to carry on to the next question because I do want to talk about that. Were you satisfied with the ending? Were you hoping for a different resolution? Which the way the book ends is she leaks the clip from Amira's email, and then she invites her onto one of her newscaster friends' shows to talk about it. And Amira ends up finding out that Alix was the one who leaked it when she thought it was Kelly. She broke up with him, never talked to him again. But when she finds out, she publicly says, I'm no longer going to work for her. I wish you the best. She throws back a line that Kelly used during his breakup with Alix to do the same thing to Alix again, but on air. So, and Alix, you can tell she didn't learn anything from this whole experience because she goes and blames Amira. She's like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
And that's like what stinks. Because I was reading a bunch of reviews about the book as well, and everyone was like just disappointed in the fact that no character had any sort of character development whatsoever. Like, it stayed the same the whole way through.
Yeah.
Amira, gets a better job, but then she stays at that job and is still not like working towards her future. So she's staying the same. Kelly stayed the same. Alix obviously didn't learn anything from any of that, stayed the same, hired 2 other nannies to help with her 2 children.
Which also kind of goes, like, don't you think, like, she hired 2 nannies? So do you think it's 1 nanny per kid? Or she was just, like, shortchanging Amira the whole time? Because Amira was doing,
that's a
like,
really, really good point. Because Amira was doing a lot. That's a really good point.
I didn't think about that till right now, honestly.
Yeah, I didn't think about that either. But that's, I don't know, like the beginning was a 10 and the ending was just like a 2.
Yeah, I mean, there was really no resolution for any of this. And Amira didn't even like get the job herself. Like it was a job she had already kind of had in the past.
Like she
and
doesn't,
then her friend was the one
she doesn't
that like
grow at all. Like she just stays this insecure, unsure of what to do with her future kind of person. And like another review that I was reading as well was just like, because the whole reason why this author wrote this book was because she was a babysitter herself growing up, and she was writing from experiences that she pulled. And I was like, why did she make the job of a babysitter / nanny so like looked down on? Amira has stated multiple times, like, I'm kind of happy. Like when she was granted the full-time position, she was like, yes, this is it. This is what I want. I'm happy. But everyone else around her was just telling her, no, like, you don't want to be a babysitter forever. You want more for your future. I don't know. I kind of wish that there was also a little bit more about the lives of like the babysitter / nannies and what they go through. Like a teacher had mentioned at Libros that she was kind of getting the same connection in there a little bit, like being a teacher when you want to stop teaching and you think about your kids like, oh, in 2-3 years, they're going to forget about me, but I'm still going to be thinking about them.
Right. I'm
going to be thinking about like how they're growing up and how they're adapting and what their friendships are going to be like, but they're not going to think about me anymore, So I was like, man, that's a really good point. And given the author's background, I wish she kind of touched on that more.
Yeah, because again, everything just at the end it just happened so fast. It happened so quick.
It happened so fast.
And like you said, maybe Amira would have been happy being a babysitter, or maybe her friends made the right call for her. But at the end of the day, that was kind of, Amira never really made her own choices for the most part. There were a few times where she was like, okay, well, I'm, going to break up with Kelly. That was kind of her choice. I'm gonna, well, no, not even when she quit, because Zara was the one that was kind of like, her friend Zara was like, hey, she leaked the book, you need to quit. Which, fair, that was a good call. But yeah, I don't know, like Amira just, she landed a good job. She ended up with health insurance. She, I guess, seemed satisfied, and that was it. And I guess, I don't know, I guess maybe all people don't need to be 100% fulfilled. I like how this is changing the more I talk about it and think about it. You don't need to be fulfilled, I guess. Like, you don't have to show off your whole thing. Oh, that's a dynamic I didn't think about. Because Alix wants to flaunt herself, wants to flaunt her wealth. She wants to flaunt like, oh, like, look how successful I am. And then Amira's just more like content, content, like where she's at. I did not think about it like that until right now.
I think just overall, a lot of the reviews I was reading as well, a lot of people didn't like it. Oh, I mean, no, actually a lot of people did like it, but then some people, like, it was written very well. It was very entertaining, kept you intrigued because you want to know what happens in the end. Spoiler alert, nothing really happens in the end. But I just wanted more. Yeah. Like, I wanted that situation, like, obviously all of us, we want something good to come out of that situation. Yeah. We don't want that situation just been a horrible situation for nothing, and like, I felt like that situation was for nothing. Like, I forgot what I was going to say.
We're the audience controlling the narrative now. Now we want something to come from it.
Like, in the end, I kind of just got that Amira used that situation to use it as another reason to not work for Alix. In the end, she was like, oh, that's it. Alix leaked this video. That's it. I'm not with her. And that's the end of that.
Yeah.
Which is upsetting.
Yeah. And fair also. All right. So with that, just reiterating, that was Such a Fun Age Again by Kiley Reid, available on both cloudLibrary and Hoopla. Be sure to join us at Libros or on the podcast for the next book, The Sun Does Shine by Anthony Ray Hinton. This book touches on a gentleman who was incarcerated unjustly. It is a nonfiction book. So we'll be meeting next month to go talk about this book. So until then, I am Rosanna.
I'm Ruby.
And we'll catch you on the next episode.